Every year we head up to Ouray, Colorado in the summer to run the amazing Gold Mountain Via Ferrata with Base Camp Ouray along with the other Ouray Via Ferratas. In the winter, all of the Via Ferrata routes are closed, but Ouray isn't done providing adrenaline-packed adventures because every winter it transforms into an ice climbing mecca called the Ouray Ice Park. For a few years now, we've been trying to do some ice climbing with Base Camp Ouray. This year, however, we finally got to experience it, and we brought a bunch of adventurers with us. We spent 2 full days ice climbing. The first day was a guided trip with Base Camp Ouray, and the second day, we were on our own. So be sure to stick around because over the course of the video, we will be showing you both the guided day and our self-guided day at the Ouray Ice Park. We were getting a little bit nervous leading up to our Ouray ice climbing trip because the town was having an unseasonably warm winter. The ice had only shown up about a week before we rolled into town, and we were going to make the most of it. As soon as we rolled into Base Camp Ouray, we met our guides for the day, Alex and Spencer, and it was time to gear up. One of the great things about doing the guided option is that it comes with all of the gear necessary. That includes the boots, helmets, which we already had and brought our own, as well as crampons, gloves, and ice tools. They also said that they had puffy jackets just in case anyone was underdressed, but we were good in that department. After we were all geared up, it was time to say bye to Rex, who was working the counter, and head out to begin our adventure. Another nice feature about going with Base Camp Ouray is that they will shuttle you over to the ice park. It is only about a 5-minute drive, but if it is crowded like it was on the day that we went, they will drop you off at the ice park and then go park the cars back down the hill. Even though that walk up the hill isn't anything too strenuous, if you're from lower elevations like we are, it will definitely have you winded. We will be starting off our climbing lesson at an area known as the Kids Wall. And even though this sounds like a small children's playground, this is a great spot to learn if you've never ice climbed before. Please note that this video is not at all meant to be a tutorial for ice climbing. While we will be going over some of the techniques that Spencer and Alex taught us, ice climbing is difficult, and I don't think it's something that you can master over the course of 1 or 2 days. One of the biggest challenges that our group had to overcome is that a lot of us are rock climbers. You would think that there would be a lot of crossover between rock climbing and ice climbing, but rock climbing can actually teach you some bad habits. One of which is that you need to kick your foot straight into the wall and not go up onto your tiptoes because that'll make the spikes blow out of the wall. To emphasize this, Alex set up a little bit of a traverse course for us. This would be our first time actually kicking into the ice, and we quickly learned that this was going to be a challenge. Via has a lot of range of motion in her ankles, and she had a hard time keeping her feet flat right out of the gate. This was a great lesson to start with because feet are so important in ice climbing. If you don't have good footing, you don't have much. Next, we covered how to hold the ice tool. Most of the time, you aren't going to be holding onto it for dear life, you just need to kind of have it balanced in your hand. We also went over how to swing the ice tool, and then we put it to practice. Another thing that you need to learn to be successful in ice climbing is where to swing your ice tool. If you hit something that is convex, there's a good chance it may explode right in your face. Just like that. We'd worked on the technique for the lower half of the body, and now it was time for the upper half. It's definitely tricky getting the ice tool stuck just perfectly in the ice when you're first getting started. But there is a pretty distinct, deeper sound to the tool when you get it in there just right, and you'll learn it pretty quick. At this point, all of the practicing was behind us, and it was time to climb. We had a couple different routes to choose from, all of which were about 30 feet tall. And I will say, as soon as you get started climbing, you will have a huge amount of respect for all of the ice climbers out there. One of the bad habits that all of the rock climbers brought to ice climbing is that a lot of times we like to get our feet up nice and high. I'm not saying that ice climbers never throw in a high foot, but a lot of the time you only want to go up to about shin to lower knee level. Some of the group caught on way faster than others. In fact, on the first day, V was on the struggle bus, and she didn't even know if she was going to go climbing on the second day. I think that a lot of us came into this thinking that our rock climbing experience would put us on a fast track to success, but this is something that will take a little bit of time to learn. The good thing is that whether you are an experienced climber or a beginner ice climber like we are, Basecamp Ouray also offers 2-day and 3-day progressive ice climbing courses. And if ice climbing sounds like a great idea to you, which it should because it is absolutely gorgeous, you can get a discount by using code LTA10 at the time of booking. After our first climbs, Alex and Spencer had a little bit of a challenge for us. I think that they saw the rock climbers trying to come out in us and relying too much on our arms, so they sent us back up the wall with only one ice tool this time. This makes you focus much more heavily on your footing, and this must have made something click into place for V because she made it all the way to the top of the wall. The entire group was having so much fun at this point, and time was really flying by. We only had time for a couple more climbs, and Alex and Spencer wanted to send the day off with a bang. We left the kids' wall behind and headed just inside the park to an area known as Pick of the Vic. We are going from training mode to real ice climbing mode really fast. The walls in the Pick of the Vic area are about 135 feet tall. And while we will only be climbing about the top 30 feet of it, there is one challenge. And that is we will be dropping in from the top, and there's only one way out, and that is to climb back up to the top. Dropping in was incredibly thrilling, and soon we found ourselves in a whole new world. While the kids' wall was mostly flat, there were tons of features here. We were suddenly surrounded by pillars and icicles, and it kind of felt like you were alone in it. While we were at the kids' wall, we were close enough to where we could crack jokes at each other or give words of encouragement. Here, everyone was either up over the top of the hill or on a bridge quite a distance away, so it was just you and the ice. If you have a fear of heights, this may not be the wall for you, and you may want to head to the area that we will be heading to in day 2. You will be spending a lot of time looking down at your feet trying to find footing, and that view also includes a massive drop. We were so happy that our buddy Aaron, that you can see right here, was able to join us for ice climbing. He had a massive skiing crash just the day before, and for some reason he was climbing better than he was walking. I think that one of all of our biggest fears on this massive wall was dropping the ice tools. Luckily, I am proud to say that all of our ice tools were returned to Basecamp Ouray at the end of the day. Finally, my turn came to take on this absolute monster. Our group was actually split into 2 different groups that took on different walls, and my half of the group got the more challenging of the 2 walls. I'm not gonna lie, this wall pushed me to my absolute physical limit. By the time I got back up to the top, I had basically nothing left in the tank. As much as I would like to take on the entire 130-foot wall, I know that I am nowhere near ready just yet. Maybe give it a couple more seasons and we'll be there. I will say that I am incredibly proud of our group for taking on this challenge. This wall is not easy. Even just dropping into the climb was mind-blowing. Several members of our group are canyoneers as well, but it is always a little bit interesting dropping into a massive void when someone else is controlling the speed. And if you're wondering how it felt to be there in the moment, I present to you a post-climb interview with On.
Post-climb interview, how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
It feels great. I feel accomplished and wonderful.
How was that?
Mama.
Fetal position.
Mama.
Before we wrapped up for the day, Spencer showed Nancy and Phil some anchor tips for the following day because he knew we were going to be climbing on our own. Please note that Nancy, Phil, Raymond, and Mila are experienced climbers, and doing the self-guided option should not be attempted without the proper experience and skills. That was a wrap for day 1, so it was time to head back, rest up, and do it all again.
Day 2, little banged up. Still gonna send it. Oh yeah, we're back. Ouray!
Day 2 started off nice and easy, but the only downside is that we didn't have base camp Ouray to drop us off at the ice park, so we had to walk up the hill this time. It is only about 0.3 of a mile from the lower lot to the ice park, but it is all uphill. If you want to avoid this, you can try to get there early, but on the weekend it gets pretty packed. As soon as we arrived at the park, we saw a familiar face. It was Alex with his new class. One of the good things about having so many rock climbers in our group is that they are very familiar with websites like mountainproject.com. Through their research, we learned that there are some much more beginner-friendly routes near the back of the park in an area known as South Park. Going to this area will require you to hike in between half a mile and 0.7 of a mile. This can be a little bit challenging with stiff climbing boots on and crampons, but it only took us about 15 minutes. If you are wondering what to wear for ice climbing, we highly recommend wearing layers. On this trip, we lucked out with the weather, but in most cases, if you're going in a group as large as ours, there's going to be a lot of points where you are waiting. You are definitely going to want something to warm you up for those times, but when you're climbing, you don't want to get hot and sweaty. Your thinner climbing layers do need to be waterproof though, because you don't want to get wet from all the melting ice. If you would like to see our full list of clothing recommendations and just ice climbing recommendations in general, head on over to livethatadventure.com. We have now reached the entrance to South Park, and if you don't have your helmet and crampons on already, it's time to put them on. Our group would be splitting up at this point, with half of us going down to the canyon access and the rest of us going to set up the anchors. You are really going to be grateful for those crampons because things are going to be getting pretty steep from time to time. Although I will say that pretty much everyone in the group ended up with a little bit of a love-hate relationship with these crampons, because these are really great at grabbing onto the ground and everything else. Almost every single person in our group tripped over something because they had the crampons on and fell over. I think that V got the worst of it because she ended up falling on hard ice and ended up with 2 black kneecaps. As the first half of our group hiked along the beautiful bottom part of the canyon, the rest of us were setting up the first ropes on the first climb of South Park, which I believe is called Professor Chaos. We would definitely recommend bringing radios so you can communicate between the people at the top and the people at the bottom. Something like Rocky Talkies would be perfect because not only do they work great, but they are very tough to the elements as well. And not only that, but they are supporting sponsors of the ice park, so that's pretty cool. The second climb of South Park was closed, but we set up the third and fourth one, which I believe are Towley and Cow Days. I may be mistaken on some of these names because they don't have names on the top, they just have numbers, so feel free to correct us in the comments if they are wrong. The walls here are all about 25 feet tall, and the ratings go between WI2 and WI4. Just in case you don't know what that means, which, don't feel bad, we didn't either before this trip, WI1 and 2 is low angle ice, which is good for learning and it won't burn out your forearms. WI3 is steeper at around 70 to 80 degrees with short vertical steps. It usually offers decent rest areas, and this is where confident beginners usually start to feel pretty cool. And WI4 has sustained vertical sections near 90 degrees. It has less obvious rests, and your calves are going to be on fire. With all of the routes that we were setting at the moment taken care of, it was time to drop down into the canyon. Luckily, there is canyon access on both sides of South Park. As we reached the canyon floor, I saw an old friend, which is the Leap of Faith from the upstream Via Ferrata. If you are familiar with the Via Ferratas, this will give you some idea how far we are into the canyon. Evidently, a good night's rest did everyone a lot of good because the entire group came out swinging. While these routes may not be impressive to seasoned ice climbers, I think it's just what we needed. It was just challenging enough, and visually it was absolutely stunning. I was so proud of V because on the first day she didn't even know if she liked ice climbing, but she rallied on the second day and she really enjoyed herself. There is one thing that you need to be sure of if you are out here unguided, and it's that you are out of the ice park by 4 o'clock. Not 4:05, 4 o'clock. That is when the ice farmers go to work. You see, all of the ice out here is not completely natural. Up along the rim, you will see tons of sprinklers, and that's where most of this ice comes from. The people that create this ice are known as ice farmers, and they like to turn those sprinklers on at 4 p.m. sharp. So if you are down here at that time, you might just become the next ice feature in the park. I think that one thing that caught us off guard about ice climbing is just how much ice falls when you're climbing. In both canyoneering and rock climbing, rock falls are unexpected and a pretty big deal. But in ice climbing, ice falls are just the cost of doing business. You can constantly hear the sounds of crashing ice all throughout the canyon from other climbers. It is common courtesy to yell ice if you see that you've broken off a decent-sized piece, but it seems like you're going to break off some almost every time you swing the ice tool. This is where we found another interesting difference between rock climbing and ice climbing. In rock climbing, you belay the climber pretty close to the base of the rock. But in ice climbing, not only do you belay from pretty far back because of that falling ice, but it's also highly recommended to tie the belayer to a rock that's behind them like this. That way they don't go sliding towards the ice in case of a fall. It was too bad that this was our last day ice climbing because at this point we had really settled into a groove. While we still had some bad habits to work out, we had all come a long ways. Raymond was feeling pretty strong at this point, so much so that he dared Mila to try and pierce his massive biceps with an icicle. I was half expecting a hospital visit in the near future, but his biceps prevailed. As the day went on, we picked up yet another route off to the right of us because that group called it quits. I believe that this route is called Nambia, and it is a WI3. This was a really cool and photogenic climb because at least when we were there, it had tons of icicles on both sides of it. It was really cool watching the locals and some of the more experienced climbers attack these routes. The endurance that some of these climbers had was absolutely insane. I guess that we had never really factored in that unlike climbing where you reach up and then you move your feet up, in ice climbing you are pounding the ice tool in and then pounding your feet in. While it is a smaller motion, all of these little moves do add up and it really zaps your energy levels. One thing is for sure, you need to bring a ton of water and snacks with you if you come out to climb. While your brain may be telling you that it's cold and you don't need a drink, it's really easy to get dehydrated. And another pro tip is to be sure to bring sunscreen. The sunlight reflects off the snow and I actually got a little bit sunburned one day. I was kind of sad because I ended up pulling a muscle in my back and I was not able to do the fourth and final climb. But V represented the household very well and she sent it like a boss. As I mentioned before, I do not think that 2 days is anywhere near enough to make serious progress in ice climbing. But just seeing the amount of improvement from within the group over the course of the 2 days was really impressive. I think that if we had another day or two and if our bodies were able to hold up that long, we could have made some serious strides. It's amazing how much time flies when you're having fun, and before we knew it, it was about 3:15 and we didn't want to get sprayed by those sprinklers. So we decided to pack up and start on our way out. Depending on the conditions when you are visiting, this short walk can take a while, and there is a steep hill that you need to climb, so plan accordingly. Overall, ice climbing was an absolutely incredible experience. More challenging than we thought it would be, but we loved every second of it. And that is going to do it for our video about ice climbing with Base Camp Ouray. We would like to send a massive thank you out to Base Camp Ouray, and I feel quite safe saying that you have not seen the last of us at the ice park. And I would also like to send a huge thank you out to Raymond, Mila, An, Phil, Nancy, and Aaron for coming all the way out to Colorado to take on this awesome experience with us. You guys are absolute legends and we can't wait for the next adventure. What do you think? Is ice climbing in your near future? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you'd like to see us do next. And for all the information about ice climbing with Base Camp Ouray and other awesome adventures, head on over to livethatadventure.com.